93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3, Indianapolis.
The Pacers return to the Fieldhouse to face the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Welcome to On the Horizon Weekly with Greg Rakestraw on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good evening to you, basketball fans. It is On the Horizon Weekly, the penultimate edition for season number 1. That's the fancy SAT vocabulary word way of saying we've got one more show left to go, and that comes to you live from the Indiana Farmers Coliseum, the Vallejo Fan Zone, and the Barbasol Men's and Women's Basketball Championships next Monday night. The tournament itself is underway. That started last night with quarterfinals now tomorrow night. So quickly, let's run through how things happened an evening ago in and around the Horizon League. On the men's side, form held. It was on the women's side too, but literally the home teams all won last night. Milwaukee got a scare from Detroit Mercy, who unfortunately finished the season with just one victory, but Milwaukee hangs on to win 83-79. B.J. Freeman has had a tremendous finishing kick to the year. 30 points and 10 rebounds. Jaden Stone, 30 points in the losing effort for Detroit Mercy. Their season comes to an end. Number 7, Cleveland State beat IUPUI 85-66. It was a rematch from the game on Saturday, which the Vikings won by a similar score. Cleveland State shot 60% from the floor for the game. Jason Woodrich had 18 points to face the Vikings. Then Purdue-Fort Wayne was a winner against Robert Morris, 78-63. Dons jumped out to an 18-point halftime lead and largely cruised from there. Quentin Morton Robertson led the way for the Mastodons. He had 17. Fort Wayne native Jalen Jackson had 16 to place the Mastodons. So those 8 teams who are all over 500 for the season, remember 5 teams were sitting out last night, so it's 1 through 8. And there was a pretty big gap from 8 to 9 on the men's side of things in the Horizon League. So the matchups tomorrow night are as follows. The 1-8 game, Oakland hosts Purdue-Fort Wayne. The 2-7 game, Youngstown State hosts Cleveland State. The 3-6 game is Green Bay and Milwaukee, so those two rivals get to square off yet again. Wright State of Northern Kentucky. You'll notice that these are all schools that are longtime rivals and not too far apart from each other, which means we should have some phenomenal atmospheres at tomorrow night's game. Those games are 7 o'clock tips for the most part. Not exclusively, but all of them on ESPN+. So now with that, let's check out the women's action from a night ago. So we had just one slight upset last night. That was number 9 Northern Kentucky beating number 8 Oakland 80-62. The league's freshman of the year in Carter McRae, who has joined this program before, well, she did what she has done all season long. Be fantastic. 24 points and 19 rebounds. Form held in the other games. 6-seeded Detroit Mercy beat 11-seed Robert Morris 59-48. Irene Marua led Detroit Mercy with 12 points. Titans were 52% from the floor in the victory. And Youngstown State easily passed IUPUI 73-50. Youngstown State was 8 of 16 from behind the arc. IUPUI, unfortunately, just 1 of 12. So the matchups on the women's side tomorrow night are as follows. Cleveland State, the 1 seed, takes on Northern Kentucky. The 2 seed in Green Bay will take on Youngstown State. The 3 seed, Purdue-Fort Wayne, will take on Detroit Mercy. And the 4 seed, Wright State, will battle with Milwaukee. Again, all 4 games can be seen on ESPN+. All right, 3, 2, 1. So with that, we're going to get to the awards coming up in just a matter of moments. However, normally we end the show by crunch numbers with Kelly Ford. But because we are to, number crunching time, for lack of a better term, we're already down from 11 teams to 8, still vying for a championship. We're going to have a recap of last night, a preview tomorrow night, and just more kind of number talk, tournament resumes, etc. So Kelly Ford joins us off the top of the program, fresh after a return trip from Cleveland last night. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Greg. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I know the result of the game with Cleveland State getting an 85-66 win. What caught your attention about the Vikings' performance in downtown Cleveland last night?
Yeah, I think it's Tristan Enaruna, Greg. I mean, he's an all-league first-teamer 2 times now. He's clearly a really, really good basketball player, does a lot for that team, and he's the real deal. I saw him up close and personal. He's going to be a handful for Youngstown State on Thursday night in the quarterfinal. That's a big rivalry game up there in Northeast Ohio, so I'm sure Youngstown State's going to be scheming it up and ready to go, but Tristan Enaruna, he's the one that stood out to me, and it's an exciting game last night. Really good showing for Cleveland State that I was able to witness.
So since we're talking about the men's, let's talk about the men's side first. Again, form held, as I said. Detroit Mercy gave Milwaukee a scare, but Milwaukee wins, Purdue-Fort Wayne wins, and Cleveland State wins. And there was a line of demarcation from 8 to 9. All 8 teams that are still playing probably feels they had a really good season. Maybe one or two would say, yeah, we had a disappointing stretch, but these are 8 really good basketball teams. To me, this is as deep as I have seen the Horizon League on the men's side, Kelly, in some time.
I completely agree, Greg. And, yes, there was a little bit of a line of demarcation, as you said, between 8 and 9. The top 8 are all still playing. And, Greg, if you wanted to make a case for any of these 8 teams on the men's side still playing, to not just make it to Indianapolis, but to win the whole thing, I'd listen to you, right? Like every single team that's left, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player, whether it's the experience, every single team left, you can make an argument they could win 3 games here and be the Horizon League Barbasol basketball champions on the men's side. So I'm really, really excited to see how it plays out, but every single team left is really good, as you mentioned.
The matchups are spicy, and so it's unfair to pick one, but I will pick the one that you're going to be at tomorrow night, which is Wright State, Northern Kentucky. And I'm going to pick that simply for the reason of we are used to seeing both those teams playing in Indianapolis. Only one of them is going to make it here. So break down that backyard brawl they're going to be witnessing tomorrow night at the Nutter Center.
Yeah, it is interesting, Greg, because you're right. These are the 2 teams on the men's side that most recently have cut down the nets here in Indianapolis. Only one of them is going to have a spot in Indy this year. This is the only quarterfinal game that the 2 teams playing against each other here on the men's side did not split 1-1 over the course of the regular season. Wright State actually beat NKU twice during the regular season, including at the Nutter Center just this past weekend. So this is a rematch of a game that we saw just a couple days ago, and it's going to be really exciting. As you mentioned, it's a huge rivalry game. These 2 programs have had tremendous success. These 2 coaches with Scott Nagy and Darren Horn, they know how to win in the month of March. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's got the potential to be a really, really good game. And as we look at what these 2 teams have put together from a resume standpoint, Wright State right now, they only have 1 loss in Quad 4. So if they are the team that the selection committee is looking at from the Horizon League on Selection Sunday, that could be a feather in their cap. And if they win these next couple of games, it is possible or even likely that they will have at least a 500, if not better than 500 record in Quad 3, which is also important to the selection committee. And then you look at Northern Kentucky, same thing, only 1 loss in Quad 4. That was a non-conference game way back at the beginning of the year against Middle Tennessee, but they certainly have a strong resume in that regard as well. So either one of these teams is going to pose a huge threat to win it all here in Indianapolis. I'm excited to see who comes out of the Nutter Center tomorrow night on top.
All right, so before we get to the women's games from last night and previewing a game for tomorrow night, let's talk about the way the regular season ended. You and I were figuring out how to count fingers and toes in terms of breaking tiebreakers between Cleveland State and Green Bay. Funny thing happened. Not for Green Bay. They lost. They were beaten on Saturday afternoon. Cleveland State won. They're 18-2. Green Bay 17-3. Still 2 fantastic teams, but Cleveland State has sole possession of the Horizon League Women's Regular Season Championship. Now, big picture. What does that do for Green Bay's NCAA tournament resume?
Yeah, Greg, hey, there's a reason we call it March Madness, and this is just another reminder that on any given day, especially in the Horizon League, anybody can beat anybody. So you mentioned it, Green Bay at home on Senior Day lost to their big rival Milwaukee in a thrilling game, a 4-point game, and it's just further proof that every single day you can get an outcome that you didn't expect coming in. What does that do for Green Bay's resume, though, is the question you've asked. It is damaging a little bit for Green Bay because it is a loss against a team with a sub-150 net. And we know that losses against teams that fall in that category, the committee does not like to see that. So Green Bay currently, right now, at time of this show, they are the last team in the field, according to ESPN bracketologist Charlie Cream. They're right there on the bubble. It's going to be really tight on Selection Sunday if Green Bay is in a position where they are not our automatic qualifier. It's going to be close, Greg. We certainly are going to make the case with those that we can, and we're going to be watching very intently. But they have a very strong resume, as we've talked about before. 2 wins against the net top 25, 3 wins against the net top 100. It's a really strong resume. It's a really good team. They're right there on the bubble, and it's going to be sweating it out, just like a lot of fan bases across the country on Selection Sunday, if they're not able to win it in Indianapolis.
All right, we jump from Saturday's action to Tuesday's action again. You had one minor upset last night, 9 beating the 8 in terms of NKU winning at Oakland. Form held in terms of the 6 seed winning Detroit Mercy, the 7 seed winning in Youngstown State. Again, now you've got the top 5 teams that enter the picture as well. A particular matchup tomorrow night. Again, since you're going to be there, you're going to see 2 games for the price of 1 at Wright State. Tell me who the Raiders have in women's basketball in the quarterfinals tomorrow night.
Absolutely. So the 4 seed Wright State on the women's side will host the 5 seed Milwaukee. We've known this matchup since the end of the regular season. Of course, the 4-5 is determined as soon as the regular season is over. These 2 teams split 1-1 in the regular season. Each time the home team won that game. So Wright State has knocked off Milwaukee on this floor at the Nutter Center before. It's really going to be a good game. It's going to be exciting. And we've talked at length on this show all year about Green Bay, about Cleveland State on the women's side. We've given Purdue Fort Wayne a little bit of love to, but Wright State and Milwaukee, right there at 4-5, they're saying don't forget about us. And I think, Greg, that while Green Bay, Cleveland State, they've certainly separated from a resume standpoint. Purdue Fort Wayne was comfortably in that number 3 spot at the end of the year. Either one of these teams, I talk about March Madness and the upsets that we've seen, either one of these teams is certainly capable of going on a run in Indianapolis, and we've seen Milwaukee just within the last week beat Green Bay. Wright State has that high upside too, so the winner here should not be overlooked by their opponent in Indianapolis on Monday.
We have 8 games tomorrow night. We'll have 8 teams coming to Indianapolis and starting to play on Monday at noon. What is your life like from, say, midnight Thursday till noon on Monday? What exactly has you going, 9,000 miles an hour before March Madness descends on Indianapolis?
Well, Greg, I want to say it's a really exciting time, right? It's why we work in college athletics. It's why we work at the Horizon League. It's for this time of year. What these student athletes are able to experience over the course of this next week and then into the NCAA tournament is going to be phenomenal. It's a lot of work on our end, not a lot of sleep, but we signed up for this. We're excited about this. It all starts on Friday. We're going to have a call with all of our participating teams to let them know everything that's going on in Indianapolis. What do they need to know? Where do they need to be? When do they need to be there? All those things. We'll do that call with the membership as we always do on Friday morning. Then it's turning the attention to what do we have to do around the office to get ready? What do we have to sort out with tickets, with sponsors? What do we have to do over at the hotel to get it ready? Our team hotel, the Sheraton City Center downtown. What do we have to do up at the Coliseum, the Indiana Farmers Coliseum, where we actually play these games? Before then, we get on site on Saturday, and we really live at the Coliseum. Saturday for preparations, Sunday for practices, and then, of course, what all the fans care about, Monday semifinals, Tuesday championship. It's a 4-day stay for the Horizon League staff at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum. We absolutely love it. Our partners over there at the Indiana State Fair Commission are incredible. We enjoy working with them, and it's just going to be a ton of fun, Greg. So much to do in and around the Coliseum on Monday and Tuesday for our fans. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Kelly, I will see you in vivo, in person, on both Monday and Tuesday. As always, thanks for the time tonight, my friend. We'll do it again real soon.
Thank you, Greg. We appreciate it.
So now let's officially get to those award winners in the Horizon League. We start on the women's side. Again, the Player of the Year, Colby Maples of Cleveland State. 17 points, 4 assists per game in league action. Michaela Purdue, named the league's Newcomer of the Year. 19 points per game in league contest. Made 49 threes, tops in the league in 20 league games. Carmen Villalobos was the Defensive Player of the Year. She will join us in the next segment of the show. All 3 of those from Cleveland State. And Cleveland State head coach Chris Kielsmeyer, he was named the Coach of the Year. Of course, the defending champs and regular season champs as well. Carter McRae, freshman year, that was an easy honor from NKU. Callie Genke and Grace Crowley won 6th Player of the Year awards. They split that. And Kendall Neild and Maddie Albach of Milwaukee and Youngstown State take home the league's sportsmanship awards. On the men's side, Trey Townsend is your league player of the year. He will join us next. His teammate Jack Golke, the sixth man of the year. Green Bay head coach Sundance Wicks was your coach of the year. Noah Reynolds, your newcomer of the year. David Douglas Jr. of Green Bay, the freshman of the year. So the Phoenix take home 3 major awards. Trey Robinson of NKU, the defensive player of the year. Marquez Warwick, the sportsmanship award recipient for the Horizon League. So coming up in the next segment of the show, men's player of the year, Trey Townsend. Women's defensive player of the year, Carmen Villalobos from Spain. They will join us next. You're listening to On the Horizon Weekly on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The UAFA Champions Round 16 Leg 2 rematches are set. Swing by your favorite Twin Peaks Lodge for lunch March 5th and 6th to watch your favorite clubs go the distance. Pair Champions League play with a Billionaire's Bacon Burger plus a 29-degree draft beer and come out with a win no matter what happens on the pitch. And no one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Tequila cocktails, extensive bourbons, top shelf spirits, and local craft beers. And don't forget about the 29-degree drafts.
Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
Daisy was abandoned by her family and placed in foster care at 15 years old. Her life was full of uncertainty. She thought she'd never have a permanent place to call home.
Before I was adopted, I felt like I wasn't enough. I had this hole in my heart, and I never knew what I needed to patch that hole. But when my mom asked to adopt me, that hole was closed. It feels so normal now to say that I'm a part of this family. I am surrounded by love. I feel safe. And that hole inside of me is gone. I am whole. I'm finally enough just as I am.
The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is changing the lives of teenagers at risk of aging out of foster care. Like Daisy, every child deserves a permanent, loving home. You can help. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hey, it's JMV, and for 6 months you've been hearing me talk about the 2-year membership at the Legends Golf Club. This offer will be ending soon. For only $249 a year, you can be a member at the Legends for 24 and the 25 season. Call 317-736-8186 or online at thelegendsgolfclub.com. That's thelegendsgolfclub.com. $249 a year for 2024 and 2025. This is the last shot you have for great golf. Don't double bogey this opportunity.
Next year's rookies have been poked, prodded, tested, and measured.
He looks pretty comfortable and poised this early on in the process.
And are ready for the next date Colts fans have circled on their calendar. The NFL Draft plus free agency.
But there's guys we also want to get back and then also add.
Rookie minicamp, OTAs. And we get ready to do it again at Grand Park this summer. The Colts season never ends. On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome back to On the Horizon Weekly here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. This portion of the program brought to us by the Capital Group and by IUPUI. Joining us now is the Horizon League Men's Basketball Player of the Year. It is Trey Townsend, his Oakland Golden Grizzlies. The number 1 seed, they again begin league tournament play tomorrow night in the quarterfinals against Purdue Fort Wayne. Trey joins us now. Trey, congratulations on the well-deserved award. When you found out about this earlier this week, what immediately entered your mind?
I mean, honestly, I was a little surprised. You know, there's a lot of great players in this league, and honestly wasn't sure where that award was going to go. I was just happy with our team's performance, obviously finishing as the 1 seed for the first time in my career here. I was very happy with that, but when I got the news about that, it was a very surreal moment growing up wanting to come to this school and ultimately getting to this point in my career. It was an amazing thing, and I'm very happy about it.
Your story about playing for Oakland is pretty unique, and I'm sure you have told it several times. So go ahead and tell it again. Family ties and I wouldn't say a recruiting favor, but close to it. From walk-on to League Player of the Year, walk us through the story.
Yeah, so Campy coached my dad 86 to 90, so I've been around, the program and the university ever since, I can remember going to games, going to camps and things of that nature. And I grew up always wanted to play at Oakland. Being from Michigan, you'd think the big schools everyone wants to go to are Michigan, Michigan State, but for me it was Oakland. And finally going to my senior year of high school, Campy offered me that walk-on spot that year, and I obviously took that without hesitation since that was the dream scenario for me. And things just started working out. I worked real hard to get to where I'm at today, and I couldn't have scripted a better story to get all the way to where the height that this program has reached in my senior year here. So it's been really amazing.
What is it like to have a guy that's a legend in Coach Camp? Been doing this at Oakland for 40 years, but not many guys in college, maybe in high school, but in college, very few say, yeah, this guy coached my dad and me. What's that like to have that conversation like with the rest of the family?
It's a really cool thing, and outside of just the family thing, it's an honor to play for a guy like Camp who's has won so many championships in his career and has coached for as long as he have. Not many people that can play for a coach that has been around, Division I college basketball for as long as he has. And having a guy like that lead us, knowing what it takes to get to, where the ultimate goal is of this team, I think that's a major role in the success that we've had. And guys like Blake and Chris and I who have been with him 3, 4, 5 years, I think that's translating to immense success this year.
When I look at your stats, the thing that I see that is remarkable to me, and knock on wood, is durability. Tomorrow's game would be your 125th. You started all of them. You're averaging 35 minutes a game for your career, and your scoring average is almost identical to what it was a year ago. What is it that has allowed you to be such a contributor immediately and so consistent over 4 years playing for the Golden Grizzlies?
I'd say we have a really good strength and conditioning staff here, and that's been the biggest thing for me, especially with my style of play, was to just put on a lot of weight, a lot of muscle, and get a lot stronger. Coming out of high school, I was like 190, and now the past 2 or 3 years, I'm playing at about 230. So that's been a huge thing for me, and having that weight has helped me kind of stay away from injuries. I've dealt with the injury bug every now and then, but the way that the staff and training staff here has helped me heal and come back even stronger, it's I give a lot of credit to them, and that's helped me play those minutes and the amount of games that I have at the level that I have.
You're not the only award winner. Jack Golke was named as the league's 6th man of the year. We had him on the show, and I'm pretty sure he's attempting a 3-pointer someplace right now. He's been on that type of trek for you guys this year. Just thoughts about your teammate getting that award as well?
I mean, it's been an amazing thing. I think that's what's so special about this team is, any one of these guys that are, capable of, excelling and being, a special player in any given day. And Jack's just one of the hardest workers that, I've seen. And him and Blake bring the best out of each other with their 3-point shooting. And they know that's great to have on a team to lift each other up and just want the best for each other. And it was great having him come in. Just being here for a year, it feels like he's been here for the 4 years that I've been here. He's one of the closest guys I'm close with on the team, and I can't say enough great things about that guy and what he's meant to this program.
Obviously, the dream scenario is that you're winning a game next Tuesday night here in Indianapolis, and that way you're on to the NCAA tournament. But to win a conference regular season championship, there's still something to that. What was Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, rather, like for you and your teammates at the arena?
I think it still hasn't fully hit us what we've done, because obviously the ultimate goal for any team in this league is to win that tournament, just because of how important that is. But for me, it's such a crazy thing that actually happened, because my goal and my dream as a kid was to raise a banner with this school, cut down nets, and win a championship. And for it to happen in my senior year, it's like I said earlier, I couldn't have scripted it any better. And I don't know if it'll fully hit me till a little more time has passed, but it was such a special thing, and it was such an emotional day for me. And my senior night, I couldn't have scripted it any better. One
championship down, hopefully for your case, one more to go, and that path starts tomorrow night with Purdue Fort Wayne. Obviously, they got you big time, early in the season. You then turned around and returned the favor at their place in the later half of conference play. What do you expect from the Mastodons tomorrow night?
I mean, they're a real talented team, and they know how or where we struggle in our zone. They can shoot the ball well and things of that nature. But like you said, we were able to figure things out the second time around. And, I'm just excited. That's what's great about this league, is every single game is a competitive game, no matter where a team's slated. Any team is capable of winning it. So that's what you dream of as a player and a competitor, is to compete at the highest level, and that's what we get to do. So we're excited. We get to play at home, have a great crowd, and we're going to look to get that win.
You are a senior, but because you played in the year after COVID, you've kind of got one more year to play with. So have you figured out yet, hey, I'm going back to Oakland for another year. I'm keeping my options open where I might play next year. Is college basketball going to be in the rearview mirror when this season is over with? Have you made those plans just yet, Trey?
The thing, I'll kind of relate this to, our team, and what has led us to the most success is just taking things one day, one game at a time. And honestly, I haven't thought that far ahead, because that's kind of thinking past, what we're doing right now in this season. And I feel like that'd be a disservice to my teammates. And so I'm just really taking it one game at a time, really focused on winning this tournament. So nothing set in stone yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But hopefully it's after another championship.
Keep doing what you're doing. You've already checked off 20 wins, a conference championship, a major win at Xavier earlier this year as well. And now from walk-on to league player of the year, it is quite the story to tell. Trey, thanks for spending some time with us. Good luck against the Dons on Thursday night. Hope we see you in Indianapolis come Monday.
Yep, thanks for having me.
So, Trey, the men's player of the year. The women's player of the year is Colby Maples of Cleveland State. Now, we've had the pleasure of having Colby on the show before, so I looked at the award winners and thought, who have we not had on? Well, it was her teammate from Cleveland State in Carmen Villalobos, native of Spain, transfer from Hartford, and she joins us now to talk about being the defensive player of the year. One of 4 significant honorees, which is deserved for the regular season women's champs, the Vikings of Cleveland State University. It is Carmen Villalobos, senior from Spain, that joins us now. Carmen, congratulations. Thanks for the time. And what does this award mean to you?
Thank you so much. First of all, this award means kind of like everything for me, just putting the work since June at the beginning of the year. Made this path all worth, I'm very disciplined player, but, having this award recognize all the thick work that I have been doing, just great.
Let's ask about your teammates, because they got significant awards as well. Colby Maples was the player of the year in the conference. Michaela Purdue was the newcomer of the year, and both were named first team all-league. Your thoughts about what those two did for your team and for your season to this point?
I mean, they are main points of the season, for us. They have been doing a great job offensively and defensively, both of them. Even though they were new for the team, they have adjusted very, very well to the system and have been helping us doing a great job in the court.
And the head coach of the season is Coach Kielsmeyer. Obviously, last year's season you were a part of, 30 wins and an NCAA tournament berth. What's it been like playing for him these last 2 years?
I think he's a great coach. he has a really good understanding of the basketball at the end of the day, and he get the results, which is the most important part. We almost got it last year, trying to win the regular conference, but at the end he got it this year. I'm very happy for him. He put a lot of the work on this, so very happy that he got it.
All right, what has this year been like for you? Because you guys are in this tremendous title fight that literally goes all the way till the last day of the season. You win, Green Bay falters, and you have sole possession of the Horizon League regular season championship. What's it been like having a team like Green Bay push you the entire way?
I mean, I think it's very exciting, but for us it's more like trying to beat ourselves more than, trying to compare with Green Bay. I think the main point on this program is trying to elevate the program compared to what we did last year. That's the goal, to get better every day. And, having the end of the season being like that, it's crazy, but very exciting. So very happy.
I mentioned this, and you may be able to tell from the accent, again, from Spain. So, growing up, maybe college basketball or the NCAA tournament might not have been a big thing for you until you kind of got to a certain age. So what was it like playing in the NCAA tournament for you for the first time last year?
I mean, it was a dream, Once, I started to play basketball and I was aware of the NCAA tournament. And after coming here to the States, it was one of my main goals to get there at some point in my career. And for me, last year was a dream. It was just a full experience that I got to live. So it was amazing.
Hartford for 1 year, back to Spain during the COVID year, back to Hartford for your second collegiate year, and then you made the move to Cleveland State. Why was Cleveland State the right place for you to continue and complete your college basketball journey?
Well, I talked with Coach K. I trust on them. They had a winning program, I know what they wanted to build. They were on the way to build this, championship program, and it was all in. I also think that Cleveland State offered me a great academic program. I also studied computer science, and they had the best resources for me, so it was the best fit for me.
How do you? And for those that I think most know this, that the Cleveland State campus is literally in the heart of downtown Cleveland. My guess is a little colder in the winters there than it would be for you in Spain. How have you liked living in Cleveland the last couple of years?
No, it has been good. I think Cleveland has a bunch of things to do around. Also, the fact that we're in downtown for an international student like me allow us to do a lot of things that we would not be able to do if we were on a campus, apart from the city. But Cleveland overall is very cool. I love the lake. I love the city, all the sports that they have and everything. So really good.
I was going to say, growing up, when somebody says football, it's not what we would think of football here in the States. So have you become a Browns fan being in Cleveland the last couple of years?
Yeah, I have. I went to my first game this past year, and I had a lot of fun. They won. I'm not really a football fan, but I enjoy a lot the atmosphere and the environment that they made here in Cleveland. So,
when your days at Cleveland State are done, I would assume there might be some professional basketball in your future. Perhaps not. You planning on staying in the States, or are you going back home after this semester is over with?
We'll see. The decision is not made yet, so probably back home, maybe Europe, something like that, to continue my career.
Sure.
We'll see.
Very good. Again, Carmen Villalobos, our guest, again here on the Horizon Weekly on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. You guys obviously were able to kind of sit out last night and wait to see whom you're going to play. Northern Kentucky is going to be your opponent tomorrow night. You host, you win that game, you come here to Indianapolis for the semifinals on Monday. What are your expectations from NKU tomorrow night?
Well, NKU is a great team. They have great players. They played really tough against Oakland yesterday, and we have to come ready to play. At 7 p.m. It's really important. We have the advantage that we play at home, so and we are fresh. We have to come with everything. This is gonna be a really hard fight. So we got to put everything on the table.
Sounds good. Carmen, congratulations on the award. Again, an honor well-deserved. Congratulations to you and your teammates on a fantastic season, and hopefully we'll see you here in Indianapolis next Monday afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let's thank some more wonderful sponsors of this program, Gatorade, Deister Machine, and Franciscan Health, that make it possible each and every week. We'll take this quick time out. When we come back, we'll tell you about a brand new book that focuses on the history of one of our great members, the Green Bay Phoenix, and their rise to prominence. Well, they are the Phoenix, so of course they're going to rise. Aaron Mitchell joins us next as we wrap up this edition of On the Horizon Weekly on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hi, I'm Kamiko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Inc. card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
With the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card, you can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for Business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for their participation. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Ready to kick your free time up a notch? Look no further than Royal Pin Entertainment. Whether you're a bowling pro or just looking for a fun night out, they've got everything you need for a memorable time. Bowl your heart out with family and friends in any of Royal Pin's 3 locations. A Royal Pin Entertainment Center is always nearby. And that chilly weather outside? Don't stress it, because the fun inside is just heating up. Challenge your friends to an epic battle of laser tag, where strategy and skill collide in an adrenaline-pumping showdown. Still feeling the competitive spirit? Dive into the expansive arcade filled with classic and cutting-edge games that are sure to throw gamers of all ages. Skip those long wait lines by reserving your lanes ahead of time at royalpin.com. It's quick, easy, and guarantees you won't miss a minute of the action. Gather your crew and head over to Royal Pin Entertainment today. Unforgettable memories and endless fun await.
Royal Pin.
Royal Pin!
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every goal, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a game-winning goal in the final seconds of overtime or a shot on goal in the first period. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, 21 plus only, must be physically located in Indiana. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, JMV for the best in realty. Mark Dietel, Realty, 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today. So, Dan and Jen and Avon were ready to downsize and move to a smaller dream home. Many challenges to navigate, but luckily they heard about Mark Dietel and his team. And you know what he did? Exactly. Got what they wanted the way that they wanted. That's why you go with the best, and you go with Mark Dietel of Mark Dietel Realty. In fact, Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Mark Dietel is your choice. That's Mark Dietel Realty today. 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com, markdietel.com today.
Think you have the best sports trivia knowledge? Listen to KB and Andy, weekdays 7 to 10 a.m. and call into the pop quiz for your chance to win a signature Jiffy Lube oil service. For more info, check out 1075thefan.com.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Thursday on the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy. IU's trip to the barn. How'd it go? Minnesota Timberwolves in town. The Fighting Grady's and Mike Conley's in the building. We'll talk that as well. Everybody have a great Wednesday.
Well, we've had players, coaches, and writers, and clearly this next guest would qualify for that. But we've yet to have a book author, at least specifically talking about the book he has penned on the Horizon Weekly on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Let's fix that now. When you come out and join us as part of the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships, Monday and Tuesday, this show will be live on site next Monday at 6 o'clock, leading into the men's semifinals across the street at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum. You can come hang out, be a part of the radio show. Query and Schultz will do their television show before me from 4 until 6. There's food, there's drinks, there's gear, and there's also going to be copies of this book, singular. Phoenix Rising is the name of it, the story of the rapid ascent from small college basketball to Division I success for the Phoenix of Green Bay. And Aaron Mitchell is that author, and he joins us now. Aaron, thanks for the time, and congratulations on the book. Thanks for sending me a copy. I've not had a chance to dive in yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. So let's start with this. Why was now the right time to tell this story?
You know, that's a great question, Greg. I was a big fan of college basketball growing up in the late 80s, early 90s. I grew up going to Green Bay basketball games. I spent a lot of time with my dad and my family enjoying the teams, and honestly, this was a great opportunity for me to reconnect, and especially as the Phoenix have been really rising again to prominence, this is the perfect time to go back, relive those memories, understand how that team rose to prominence, and maybe see how there's similarities with this year's team as well.
The way that Sonny is coaching, there may be a second book in the very near future.
I absolutely hope so, yeah.
And it is not lost on me, being here in Indianapolis, that the people you chose to write both the forward and kind of epilogue are both Indiana guys, are Gene Katie and Barry Collier. Why were those the two guys that agreed to do this for this book?
Well, the reason that they agreed to do it is they're both great guys. I mean, these were just absolutely class individuals. And you probably know this well, and I'm sure your listeners do too. But, Gene Katie had a real influence on the Phoenix, and in particular on Tony Bennett as a young player at Green Bay. Gene was the coach of the Pan American team that Tony played on in 1991. It was really the last sort of Pan Am team that didn't lead to an Olympic team. So it's really interesting that story, and the book talks about that. But then, Tony's team as a senior after that, had the opportunity to go down and play in the Boilermaker Invitational and really clobber Purdue on their home floor. Place they were not usually one that had lost there. So there's a lot of overlaps there. Gene was also the head coach in Dick Bennett's last game at Green Bay. And that's a really interesting story. Dick Bennett had been recruited heavily to be the potential head coach for the Wisconsin Badgers, both in their previous two vacancy openings and then also in 1995. And it's a really interesting story. And if you're a Phoenix fan, it's heartbreaking. And if you're a Wisconsin Badger fan or Wisconsin sports fan, it's a great story. But, that last game against Purdue in 1995 tournament really turned the entire tables on Green Bay's history going forward. And candidly, came down to one bad call at the end of the game that gave Gene and his team the win and unfortunately sent Green Bay packing. But Gene had such an influence, I think, on Tony and on Dick Bennett, and they also on him. And in the book, we talk a little bit about that Pan Am games. That Pan Am team in 1991, they lost in the semifinals, and Jimmy Jackson had gotten hurt. And Gene Cady was devastated after that game, and Tony Bennett recognized that and sort of the empathy and the character of Tony, went to Gene's room and asked if the coach was okay. And that stuck with Gene for decades. I mean, that's still with him, that notion that a player would come and see how the coach is doing. So, Gene was a perfect fit for that and just an absolutely stellar guy. And Barry Collier, similar stories later in kind of the Phoenix evolution. But, Barry had learned and had worked with Coach Bennett, and there were some nice interactions there as well. And so, Barry was a fantastic interview, a really nice guy, and it was great that he was willing to write the afterword here.
So a lot of the current Horizon League members, all kind of, not all of them, but a good chunk of them, jumped from the Division II ranks to Division I about the mid-'80s, and what is now known as the Summit League. But back when that happened 40 years ago, the Association of Mid-Continent Universities, that was the AMCU 8. That was the kind of the collection of the group. And the first school to kind of break through was Cleveland State, Mouse McFadden, 86. Again, let's tie it back to Indiana, beating Indiana University in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. But the program of that group that had the most sustained success was Wisconsin Green Bay, as they were known at that time, and Dick Bennett was a key part of that, and nobody hires from within like the University of Wisconsin system. He was at Stevens Point with this guy named Terry Porter before then getting the Green Bay job. So I guess fill it in from there. How did Dick go from Stevens Point to being the head coach at Green Bay as they're making that transition into Division I?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great hire by Green Bay. There were some really interesting candidates they reviewed and interviewed for that position, including guys like Tom Izzo. But Dick Bennett ended up getting the position, and he changed the culture immediately. I think for Dick, one of the things that was really important was getting players that he could coach and players that would play within his system. And anybody that's seen Bennett ball, whether it's Dick, whether it's his brother Jack at Stevens Point, whether it's Tony, they know, defense is first. Defense is by far the most important part of everything they do. Dick was looking for coachable guys. He wanted guys that were willing to work really hard, give it everything they had, and fight all the time. Wasn't always the most skilled guys. They were not running the floor. They weren't putting up 80 and 90 points a game. In fact, if you really want an interesting juxtaposition, take a look at the Green Bay Phoenix games against Loyola Marymount in the late 80s. Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball. And, Green Bay is the one team that was holding those guys under 90 points. So those were just really interesting comparisons. But he wanted coachable guys, and he worked within the Wisconsin system of high school. He had a really extensive network and connections within Wisconsin. And so a lot of the guys that he brought up, if you look at the rosters, most of those guys are Wisconsin guys. A lot of them are commutable from Green Bay. So not only did he bring in guys that he knew and from systems he knew within the state, but he also brought in fan bases because those guys bring in their families and their communities. And it's also interesting because the Packers during that stretch were down.
Right.
And I think you had a community that really rallied around a winner, and it really escalated and brought the program to a new level.
Obviously, it's easy to draw the line from Dick Bennett to Tony Bennett. And my paths happened to cross with one of the best players kind of right after that era with Jeff Nordgaard, because he briefly played professional basketball here in Indianapolis when I was a young broadcaster some 20-plus years ago. But give me a couple of great former Phoenix player names that people hear and go, oh, yeah, I forgot about that guy. Give me another couple of greats without the last name of Bennett from, say, the late 80s or early 90s.
Sure. Well, the number one that you said was Jeff Nordgaard, and absolutely, Jeff would be in that category. Jeff and that senior class, which was the 1996 class, was really a group of four guys, and it was Nordgaard, it was Ben Berlowski, it was Gary Gresh and it was Eric Jackson. And Gary Gresh is coaching now up at St. Norbert. But those were really, really good guys. They also had a guy by the name of Chris Westlake he graduated the year earlier. He was I think, perhaps the only junior college guy or one of the few that ever really were successful with Green Bay. But, he was a high, great three-point shooter, a left-handed guy, really, really good. And the combination of him and Ben Berlowski in the 95 season was just dynamite. I mean, these guys were lights out from behind the arc. If you want to go back a little earlier, my personal favorite, John Martinez, the backcourt of Tony Bennett and John Martinez was just absolutely amazing. And John, there's a really, for Green Bay fans, they'll remember this well, but the 1992 season, Tony's last year, John Martinez and Tony were just absolutely clicking. Like I said, went down to Purdue and just, beat them by 20 points on their home floor. Tony had beat Butler with a deep three on an ESPN game that year. They were absolutely rolling. I think they were like 24-3 on the year. And Martinez goes down with a knee injury in like the third to last game of the year. And it changed the entire course of the Phoenix season. So they ended up losing in the semifinals. They were absolutely they definitely deserved an NCAA bid and did not get it, and it was really the John Martinez injury. Had Martinez not gotten hurt, he's a guy you would have heard of in the NBA for sure. John Martinez was fantastic. But, you go down the list. They got guys like Jeremy Ludvigson, Dean Van Implaus, Scott Lemoyne, all kinds of guys. Ben Johnson was an amazing player with those teams too. Larry Hill. I mean, you could just go all the way down the list. Some really good names. If you're a Phoenix fan, if you're not, get familiar with them because these were really, really good guys. And I would just add, very high character. You can see the character of Dick Bennett. When I was going through this process and reaching out to people and talking with them, I didn't get a single no. And there were folks that were just, happy to talk about it, really excited, engaged, energized. And these are guys that want to be a part of the program going forward. They want they want the team and the university to leverage that legacy to have continued success. So, the one thing that's really humbling for me was just how gracious all of these guys were to give their time.
And obviously the last couple of years were dark years for the program and years of struggle they had not gone through for some time. But to show you how things can change quickly, a Green Bay team is suddenly leading late in the season in terms of the league standings. Some injuries have kind of slowed them down, but they are one of 8 really good teams still left playing in the Horizon League tournament as you and I are having this conversation. So final thing before we let you go, Aaron, what of this group? I realize the game style is different now, but what do you see of this group that reminds you of some of the great Green Bay teams of years gone by?
Yeah, I've had a chance to watch the team a couple of times this year in person, which has been great. And I just they're more disciplined than they've been. They seem to actually care about playing defense, and I guess that really resonates, especially just having watched Dick Bennett teams for so long. They do want to play defense. They're disciplined. I think that the turnovers are down, which is a helpful piece too. I also, sort of the intangibles, but it feels like a team that likes each other, that enjoys playing together. And some of that is the, kind of the soft pieces that you don't always see with teams, especially as we're getting more into sort of a, NIL and transfer portal and all of this kind of changes over the way you would build programs in the past. But, I would say if I had to kind of boil it down to 2 things, I would say they're more disciplined, and they also just have this sense of camaraderie that at least you feel like they have that within the stands. So I like that about this team. I'm excited about them. It's a great future we've got here.
Again, the book is Phoenix Rising. The author is Aaron Mitchell, and clearly he and I could have this conversation for a lot longer, but unfortunately our show's about to wrap up for the evening. Aaron, I look forward to having this conversation in person with you. Best place people to go check out the book other than, say, the upcoming Horizon League tournament.
Yeah, Amazon.com is probably the best place to go. If not, it's in a few bookstores up in Wisconsin as well, but Amazon.com, it's right there, and I hope you check it out. If you like college basketball, you're definitely in for a treat.
Again, I've got the copy of the book in my hands. Unfortunately, I don't have the chance to read it yet, but life slows down for me soon, and I'll be rectifying that shortly. Thanks to the wonderful sponsors that have brought this show to you each and every week. Cripe, the Indianapolis Indians, Intella Building, and Miller Insurance. Again, we are live at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum and the Vallejo Fan Zone next Monday at 6 for our final edition of season number 1. HorizonLeague.com has tickets. Better yet, show up. Women's sessions begin at noon on Monday and Tuesday. Men's sessions begin at 7. Again, the championship game on ESPN or ESPN2 coming up Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Good luck to the 16 teams still playing in the tournament. We'll see 8 of those in Indianapolis next Monday, and hopefully we'll see you there as well. That does it for this week's edition of On the Horizon Weekly. I'm Greg Rakestraw for 93.5